Hi, and welcome to AI for UX. This is a space where researchers and product leaders come to stay current with AI innovations. I'm John Whalen, the founder of Brilliant Experience, and we're a psychology-driven product innovation firm. In each installment, we speak to a founder of one of the latest AI-enhanced research tools and dive deep into the inspiration for it and how it might benefit you, and ultimately where this is headed. So today I'm joined by Shrey Khokhra, and he's the co-founder of Userology, a tool that really does a lot. It helps you to understand your users by generating an interview plan, recruiting participants, conducting interviews, and presenting your final report, which is quite a lot. So I'm delighted to have him here. And just a quick note before we get started, all these videos are not product endorsements. Brilliant always pays full price for any technologies we use, and no one's getting paid. It's just for us to learn more. So with that, let's get started. So Shrey, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And I'm delighted to have you here.
Thank you, John, for having me here. Excited for the session today.
Well, let's dive into userology because it's got a lot to go for it. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about just who your target audience is for your product and kind of what the pain points it addresses.
Awesome. So Userology as it's a AI UX research agent built for PMs and designers to conduct their own research. We saw that a lot of research teams wants to empower non-researchers conduct evaluative research and focus their energy on macro research. This is where an AI UX research agent would come in, which would work with the PMs, designers, essentially the larger product and the UX team, and help them conduct research, which would ideally take months to conduct.
Mm-hmm.
The AI agent essentially helps them conclude the research in a few hours.
Cool. And yeah, it is kind of mind bending that that's even possible, for all of us who have, when we're just start to try these tools. Um, so what would be a typical scenario when folks are using tools like yours? When might a product owner or product manager use a tool like this?
Yeah. So right from if you are discovering new opportunities, new pain points, just to understand your maybe persona, you would ideally use userology to conduct an open-ended research, discovery research. Or if you are someone who wants to validate the wireframes or your high fidelity prototypes, you can still use the tool. The AI is capable enough to look at the screen, hear the participant, and ask probing questions. Or if you are someone who launched a product and you want to sort of create a group of beta users and see how their experience was, the AI is able to live stream the shared screen of the participant and ask questions based on the screen interactions as well as the participant feedback. So all the use cases, right from discovery to solution validation to post-launch as well. This is something that we have seen a lot of PMs and designers using the platform for.
Cool. And yeah, I mean, that's more than is often typical in these kind of cases. So I actually did want to ask a question about what makes userology a little different or better than other options. And clearly, having that ability to share a screen and so on is one piece. But how would you describe how userology is unique?
So I think on two aspects. One is there have been a lot of pull from non-researchers to conduct their own research, particularly evaluative research. Um, the tool is primarily made to keep the human in the loop, essentially, where it works with them instead of automating the entire stuff. That's where the setup and the whole process of launching the study is different. The second is the vision capabilities. I think we have done decent job in giving AI to see what's happening on the screen and ask questions just like someone with a good research background would do.
And that's something I guess I don't feel like I see quite as much. So I think you're going to show us that in just a sec. So that'd be great. So Just for some, so if I'm a product owner or a UX researcher, how would I work differently once I have this tool? So first of all, I guess if I was a PM, I might not have ever have done the research before, but maybe I'll be selfish for someone like me, like a researcher. How would I work differently using userology?
So essentially the turnaround time for you to get insights is significantly lesser. This is where it increases the scope of research, and it essentially empowers people to conduct more research. And since the turnaround time is lesser, the stakeholders, the business stakeholders are more open to doing like more research. Uh, Before AI, it wouldn't have been possible where, it would take like, tens of thousands of dollars and a few weeks before you can see the insights. That's where the reluctance of doing research would come in. But with an agent, especially something that can conduct holistic research, um, opens up a sort of, more sort of, I would say, openness to conducting research on the hypothesis that anyone in the org is, facing. Yeah.
Yeah, and in when us at my company started using tools like yours, I kind of didn't realize how much, like how fast we could turn things around and still have high quality. And also just there's a little bit of what inclusion that I guess I might talk about. Like I can have my Swedish isn't very good, so I can include people from Sweden or people in New Zealand who have a time zone that's really hard for me to work with, and so suddenly I get a sort of global access that I wouldn't have got otherwise. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to
Yeah.
understand before without trying it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, if you look at Figma, right, it's a design tool. It's very simple to create designs. But Figma like democratized design in a way which the other design tools could not. That's where someone like a CEO could come in on Figma and see like what's the new product that's being designed, which like involves a lot of people into the whole design process. That's where a tool like an AI UX research agent would do, which is democratizing research, which would involve a lot of other stakeholders in the ecosystem, which would then increase the validity of conducting good research, and the credibility of conducting continuous discovery throughout the org.
Excellent. And yeah, so actually, have you seen PMs and others actually picking up the pace of the research they do, or is it that they do larger scale studies, or what's been typical in your case?
So we have seen two sets of teams. One is the tool serving researchers
Mm-hmm.
uh, who are looking to democratize research internally, particularly evaluative research. We are not talking about like macro research. Strategic research is something that researchers, I think we are of the opinion that it should be still driven by researchers. But and the second set of teams is PMs and designers doing it and driving it themselves, which is something that would you would see that like they would either use tools like user testing, but it's like more focused on research teams. But if you want people to do their own research, you need so slightest of handholding. That handholding is done by agents, right? So these two sets of teams have we have seen like more
Mm-hmm.
adoption in terms of, yeah.
Well, and you know what we should do is why don't we go ahead and if you can start to share a screen, I can set it up so that we can have you and your screen, and I think we should show what it's like to do this. So you can just tell me the scenario. Is this for a participant or is this for a researcher or product person?
So this is a participant experience
Mm-hmm.
for a prototype of an app called Splitwise. It's an expense management app. And just consider that a designer have sort of built a flow and you want to test it out with the participant. They would, go on Userology, create a study, and this is the link that would be generated after the study is created. Now, this link is shared with the participant. I am the participant here. I'll just start the study, I'll just type my name. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for confirming S's. Let's begin. I want you to know that there are no right or wrong answers today. I'm just interested in learning about your experiences and thoughts. Could you start by telling me a bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So I am a product designer working at a fintech company.
Thanks for sharing that S's. What kind of personal expenses do you typically share with others, like friends, family, or roommates? I'd love to hear about your experiences with that.
I would usually share expenses with my friends when going out for a dinner or something like that.
Could you walk me through how you typically handle splitting those dinner expenses with your friends? What's your usual process?
I would just note it down in my WhatsApp and then go home and maybe use a Google Sheet or something to track.
Interesting. Could you tell me more about how you use Google Sheets to track these expenses? What kind of information do you typically include in it?
It's just the name and the amount. Yeah.
And what happens after you record these amounts? How do you handle the actual settling up process with your friends?
Yeah, I mean it's usually organic. We don't usually like remind or something like that, but it's like just a track record for us to have it crystal clear.
Yes, that's clear. Have you ever faced any challenges or difficulties with this current way of tracking and settling expenses? Maybe times when it didn't work so well?
Yeah, I think it sometimes get uh cluttered and you just lose track of things. It's nothing as such in general when it comes to challenges. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that, S's. Now, I'll be showing you a prototype shortly and we'll work through some tasks together. Before we do that, are you comfortable with me recording this session?
Sure.
It'll help us capture all the valuable feedback you provide.
Sure, yeah, that works.
Let me first confirm. Can you see the prototype on your screen?
Yes, I can see the prototype on the screen.
Great. Let me explain your task for today. Imagine you recently went on a trip with 3 friends, friends 1, 2, and 3, and all of you made various expenses. You spent $500 on booking a hotel for everyone, with the cost being evenly shared among all friends. Your task is to add this expense on the splitwise prototype. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Let me just explore the prototype now.
Sure, go ahead and explore. Please share your thoughts as you go along.
Okay, so I can see I can add expense, I can settle up. Yeah, so that's about the onboarding. Let me see. I'll probably skip setup for now. Don't want to spend a lot of time and exploring the app I don't know.
Since you're on the setup screen, which of the 3 options would you select for this task and why? Take your time to think about it.
I selected skip setup because it didn't make sense for me to invest a lot of time in something that I don't know. Probably I'll go ahead and start a new group. Yeah.
What are you thinking about as you look at this screen?
I'm just figuring out like would it be like other or trip? Probably I'll go with trip. Okay, trying to add group members here. Have added 3 friends and then I'll maybe go ahead. Okay, so I think I've added all the 3 members. Adding expense would be the next step. Okay. So hotel booking is something we need to do, right? Is it $300 or yeah, we need to add like $500. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, I have added the expenses.
Thanks for completing that task. Could you tell me about any challenges you faced while adding this expense and setting up the group? What parts were easy or difficult?
I think it was pretty much straightforward. So not a lot of things I can complain about.
On a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is hardest and 5 is easiest, how would you rate the difficulty of completing this task?
I would say 1. It was quite easy.
Just to clarify, you mentioned 1, but also said it was quite easy.
Yeah.
Since 1 is the hardest and 5 is the easiest on our scale, could you please confirm your rating?
Yeah.
What number would you give it between 1, hardest, and 5, easiest?
My bad. It was easy. Okay. So I'll end the session now. As you can see, it's quite vary about the flow and the screens that are being shared. Now as next step, what I'll do is I'll show like exactly how we arrived at that. Basically the setup process. I'm assuming that you can still see me, right?
Yes, everything's perfect. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. So the study setup is like pretty simple. You just need to give AI. So we are looking at a sample study about Discord. So let us say you want to test out the server creation flow or like discoverability of DMs and like how you can run games in DMs, right? So you give a very high level objective to AI and then user details. So user details would be necessary in two sense. One is, of course, it would know who is it talking to, and second is it would create screeners automatically when recruiting. And then once we do this, it would create the first draft of the interview guide. So like everything you see here is something that we have kept, that we keep the person doing research in the loop, right? So the first draft is something that takes away all the rigor of planning your research, right? Right from, like framing the questions to like what should be the flow of questions to like what should be the structure in which the prototype would be presented, right? So this was a live product research, as in it did not really need a prototype. The user was expected to share their screen, and everything on the screen was something that the AI was able to see and ask questions on. You can see it started from welcoming the participant to like, asking the familiarity with Discord, and then, explaining what the focus area of the study was.
So
The second,
Shrey, sorry, just a quick question there, because really interesting. So the first section, it's not necessarily the exact wording of what the AI might ask the questions of. It's more a high level thing for someone like me or the product owner. It's sort of that perspective.
Exactly. So just imagine that you got on an onboarding call with someone who just joined your organization, right? You would just give them an instruction that, we need to cover this and then this and then this. Okay, don't forget to cover this, right? If you want to sort of, add some things here, let us say, cover the familiarity with Instagram communities, right? Or something which would which is something that you would want them to cover as a topic, but not necessarily you specify the timestamp or anything. Just say that these are the things, and you need to sort of make sure that this happens.
Cool. Thank you. No, please go ahead. This is interesting.
Yeah. The second section is about the live product research. So now, after the introduction, the user is expected to share their screen. As you can see, the task setup was around them opening discord.com, creating an account, right? And then like completing the sign up process. And the last task was for them to discover and play games as well, right? So you can also see what all things would be covered in that section, what all things that the AI would be asking the user while they are playing the game or discovering the game. So something like, hey, if the let's say if the user is confused about the task or if they are struggling, ask what they are looking for, something as simple as that. Or if they complete the task, ask them about their ratings. And if they give rating more than 4, ask them like what made it so easy, if they have any suggestions to improve. So as someone who does not really have the background in research, I think something which enables them to conduct research in a plain simple language is quite powerful, I would say. So once this task is completed, we have a panel of we have our own panel as well. We have integrations with user interviews, respondent, and prolific, where they get access to millions of participants across the globe. But let us say if you want to recruit the participants on your own, you can just simply copy this link and share it with your group of people. If you want to change the voice of the AI, or if you want to change the speaking and listening levels and the silent levels, you can simply change it on for example, if you want AI to be more of an observer and listener, you can just simply change this levels and make sure that it behaves as an observer rather than asking questions by question afterwards. You can simply change the accent based on age, gender, and you can also change the avatar library as well. But I'll show like one of the recordings that might make it more clearer on like what exactly I meant by live screen sharing. So okay, yeah.
So Shrey, what I've got at the right is the transcript from this that your tool has made. And then if you click on a part of the transcript, you're jumping the video to that spot. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. And these recordings would also segregate the challenges and the positives from the entire recording of like for right. So for example, if you want to go through a theme that made the DM entry point undiscoverable, you can just simply click there and it would like redirect you to there, and you can just simply download all these reels and highlights as well. I'll just quickly play this.
Is right is the side of the window, because I found here like a person's icon.
The context here is that the user was not able to discover the chat icon as well as the how to start the game, right? That's where the AI understood that they are looking at like different areas of the screen but not able to figure out. Let me ask how difficult or easy it was for them to figure this task out.
That would display member list as is spelled here in the label, right? But I could also find here on the left side where I am moving the cursor, the mouse cursor. I thought maybe here I could find a person or member list. I would look rather on the right or the left.
I see you're looking at different areas of the screen. On a scale of 1-5, where 1 is not discoverable at all and 5 is very easy to discover, how would you rate the discoverability of the direct messaging and games features so far?
Well, I will rate it with a 3 because I cannot find the option easily.
So they said that it was not easy to find that feature, but they were not like descriptive about why it was not easy. So it probed more.
Could you tell me more about why you gave it a 3? What would have made it more discoverable for you?
Maybe having an icon with a name or the label that for direct messages, because I cannot find it.
What kind of friction points or challenges are you experiencing while trying to find this feature?
I would also like want to like show one more example where it was quite intelligent enough to understand where exactly it needs to help versus where it needs to dive deep more. So as you know, the study was about discoverability of a particular feature. Now signing up is, a basic requirement. But what if a user is not able to sort of, like figure out the sign up? In that case, the AI would like sort of help them so that they can reach to that feature, which is something that they need to, explore.
Okay. I'll just put some wherever other email I have to register. So I'm going through the create a new account process.
I see you're looking for the registration option. On the login screen, there should be a link or button specifically for new users to create an account. Can you look around and let me know if you spot something like that?
So something like this would essentially empower the like someone who don't are looking to like conduct research on a live apps. Yeah. Any questions? Anything so far that stood out for you, John?
Yeah. Actually, I did want to ask you about the sections down below. So is that this study had in this particular case, like I guess 5 different parts?
Yes, exactly. So it did have 5 different parts. So the section 1 was introduction, the section 2 was onboarding, the section 3 was about, creating a new server, and then, discovering like
Okay.
a gaming app, right?
So actually, this is interesting. So if I've got right, the center column here, and this is live, so I may have it wrong, but it's telling me here's a summary of what happened in section 4 for this particular participant.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So it tells you the overview of the findings, like in that particular section, and the usability score in that particular section, right? And you can see all the themes, and the quotes would be like mapped out to those sections. But this is, on a user level. What if you want to sort of like a more holistic summary on the entire study as well? So in that case, it would give you a sort of, like a comparator and an overview on like how many participants felt exactly which pain point. So for example, post sign up interface was slightly overwhelming, and 4 users faced that problem. And you can see the codes and which users felt that, and you can simply click here and go on to that particular section on why they felt it was pretty challenging for them, right? Um, so this is the qualitative analysis overview. The quantitative analysis is something that would give you like the click through rates, and if there are any misclicks, how easy it was for someone to complete the sign up process versus how easy it was to someone to sort of create a server, right? And you would also have the discussion summary as well, which is downloadable. You can just simply download this, have it in a sheet, which would give you all the quotes and the timestamps, also the downloadable links of the reels as well. So these columns are something that the AI created itself based on the research objective, as well as the particular findings that the AI came through during the analysis part.
And just sorry, that was interesting. So I guess what I was seeing was there might be like 3 bullet points, and there was a play button. I guess I wondered if that would logically, yeah. So let's just take the one in the upper left here. I guess there's about 5 different things. So I'm anticipating that the play would then show me the quotes or the items that are relevant to those.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, and this is basically the clips for the onboarding flow for this user. And it would give you a summary on like whether the sign up was how the sign up was, like whether any confusions, any feedback that the user gave, and then what was the overall rating of the thing.
And if I want, you showed us, but I just want to make sure I've got it. So I'm seeing 3 users right now, or 3 test participants. If I wanted the sort of overarching findings from the onboarding flow, how might I get that?
So right now we have like a user level finding for the onboarding flow. The overall qualitative analysis of the entire research objective, all flows included, would be something that you can find here.
Got it.
That's interesting feedback. What if you want to sort of, summarize everything, but just for that flow? Something to think about, yeah.
Okay, got it. So the qualitative is the overarching high level findings. The quantitative was the sort of success rates at different tasks, and then
Absolutely.
the question by question is the third of your tabs.
Absolutely. I would also like to share one more thing as well.
Sure,
The
please go
quantitative
ahead.
aspect. Yeah. So the quantitative aspects would cover the completion rates, time on tests, misclicks, usability score, and the screen level analysis as well. Right? What if you want to sort of, go through each of the screen, how much time did the user spend on each screen, and the usability score and the misclicks that happened for those screens, right? You would be able to see the quantitative aspects in that regards as well, which is purely from the interaction on the prototype or the on-screen interaction cases. Um, yeah. Yeah. Just want to sort of, cover the holistic. Yeah.
So there's a lot to do with prototyping or having some sort of usability test that we can get a lot of information from.
If it's a prototype, you can get quantitative data as well, which is purely interaction data, right? Yeah.
Very cool. Well, it's very comprehensive. The last question I had is we looked at one study. Is userology designed primarily to like focus on sort of study by study, or there in some cases folks have something that helps to sort of bring together findings from say 3 studies?
So right now you're talking about the analysis, right? The analysis.
Yeah. So for example, if there were what are all the issues to do with sign up, and we had say 3 different research studies that we had completed.
Yeah, that's something that is upcoming, where we would be gathering all the findings from, like 20 different studies that the org have conducted in a year, and you want specific insights from like multiple studies and gather quotes from, users
Right.
from like multiple personas and, like being, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is very extensive already, so I'm not asking. I shouldn't ask her too much, but I was just curious to see if there was that sort of perspective. So this is plenty to keep us going. Great. Is there anything else, or is that sort of the broad summary of what you want to show?
And the one last thing is the reports. We have seen that a lot of folks spend enormous amount of time in making insights presentable, which is something that's important, but it creates a lot of delay in having the insights in hand to sharing it with the stakeholders, right? So we created this reports where it would create a PDF which would contain like an executive summary, participant background summary, key findings, and the quotes, right? Which you can simply download in PDF or XLS and then share it via email. You don't have to spend time in gathering all these things manually and put it into like a sort of fancy presentation.
So actually, it's an interesting question. So do you see more folks using, who are sort of the product manager or the designer, maybe the non-researcher, using this kind of report, or are they diving into the sort of detailed view that you were showing us earlier?
So we have seen that the product managers who are, let's say, responsible for like one pod, they might want to go deeper into the findings, even see the recordings individually by themselves as well. But for, let us say, someone who is leading, like, let's say 5 pods at a time, like products, they would want a summary which they can consume in, let us say, 1 hour and take a call and maybe change a few things on their quarterly roadmap. And then, yeah.
Very cool. Okay, well, thank you for showing us this all. It's a lot to take in, so I'm glad that we recorded it. Cool. Well, what I wanted to take a quick step back. So first of all, thank you for doing that. And it shows, how much you and your team are working to make this really extensive, and that takes a lot of work. And I don't know, there are challenges to starting up a company, and I think you've done that more than once. But so I'm curious to see what inspired you to create this product and for this field.
Yeah. So both, I think, for like all the three co-founders, me, Shivam, and Harshad, were really passionate about understanding deeply, understanding users at the deepest level, and taking the calls right from there. So we wanted to sort of like build the company with that foundation in mind. That's where we like stumbled upon this problem statement where both me and Shivam, who is my co-founder, used to face a lot of challenges on conducting our own research. Uh, and then since AI came into the picture, it simplified a lot of things. That's where we felt that, hey, this is the right time for us to sort of, build a company around this problem itself, where we have all been passionate about this problem. And then I'm sure like a lot of PMs have been passionate about this thing. I used to be, me and Shivam used to be PMs. So this is something that's like really, really close to our hearts.
Got it. Well, from where you started, is there anything like a achievement or milestone that you're particularly proud of that you made work in userology?
So the impact that we created with a couple of customers who previously were not able to like do their own research. Now with this tool, since it became it like removed all the friction points and doing research, and seeing them like being empathetic to the user, being able to understand, like uncover insights which they were not able to do it before, is the biggest milestone. We have seen previously that teams with like let's say like 30 designers, right, but only two designers doing research. With something like this, we have seen that like 25 plus people are not just report viewers, but also like creators of the study. So which is an exciting thing to witness in the driver's seat.
Absolutely. Well, the other thing for us UX researchers too is there may have been situations where just no research was done. So it might not be necessarily that oh, they won't be asking us to do any work. It's rather that you can expand and say all these things that were historically off the table for research could now be put on the table for research. So I think
Yes.
can be a really positive thing. Well, I wanted to turn to your future focus. So I guess I'd love to hear, if there are things you can publicly disclose, but how you see userology evolving over the next while. And also just for product people and researchers and so on, how do you see this, just the use of research sort of evolving over the next while? So who might be doing it? How would it be done? And so I know those are big questions, but maybe you can tell me a little bit about how you see your product evolving and how you see this enterprise of research changing.
So yeah, on the product side, so there are some interesting things we are working on. Something like what if you can chat with your insights and you can like create a sort of a custom report, right? I think Dovetail really, since we have been like really working on this, we also saw Dovetail launching their Magic Insights feature, something like that. We have been like really excited about. We've also been working on something which would, let you chat with your interview guide as well, like so that you don't have to really spend a lot of time in thinking about the conversational flow. What if you want to sort of give a prompt and it would recreate the entire guide themselves. For example, if you want to sort of conduct live product research, but you also want to conduct prototype testing, and then you also want to conduct discovery research all in one session, right? You can simply like type it as a prompt and it would recreate the entire guide based on what you just typed out. On the reports and repositories, we have been like experimenting with, like I ask AI features for study level, and also I mentioned about the multi-study analysis as well. So that's been really exciting for us in terms of product. Would also want to understand the second question a little better so that I can.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I was just asking how you see just the whole program of research changing. So, like, do we still need UX researchers? Will we be asking different questions because of the capabilities of tools like this? How do you see us, historically, we'd go into a room with glass on one side and watch someone work and hit record, and it's transformed to something like this. And so from here, a year from now, 2 years from now, how might we be doing research?
I don't see a place where we can work without the research team. As it's as plain and simple, we cannot really, no matter how smart the AI becomes, the strategic fundamental research is something that the research team will always do. The thing that I am like very and we are like very optimistic about is the scope of research being extended and more people being able to see research and the value in research. That increases our sort of like hunger to get the strategic and the macro insights. Because since evaluative research have been like already, I'm just talking about like few years down the line. If
Yeah.
evaluative research is something that have been like delegated and people have been like doing their own research, you have like more time to explore new markets, new business opportunities, and that's where the research teams would come in and help us discover what's next for us as humanity. Right? If you talk about a business, yes, it's pretty simple. You discover new markets, new problem statement, new personas, but if you collectively see the impact of all the research scope being increased, you can see that, like the pace at which businesses would uncover like new problems to solve, that would like increase the like it would like move us forward collectively.
Right. So if I'm right, what I'm hearing you say is we need to have something, we need to do this, and we need to learn to move faster because someone else will be moving faster with tools like this.
Yes.
Okay, fair. Well, I'm sure that there are plenty of folks that found this intriguing. So if they wanted to give Userology a try, maybe you can tell us how they might get started, if who they reach out to or how that works.
It's pretty simple. Actually, we have the product public. So you go on userology.com, you share your email, and then you will be able to create your account. That's where you also get like 5 free credits as well, so you can like create one research project for free, see how it's working with an AI UX research agent. Yeah, so it's like the first research project is free. Just go on the landing page, sign up, and create your project. And meanwhile, if you are curious to know more about the product or if you need help creating, always feel free to reach out to me on Shrey@userology.co.
Very cool. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for showing us Userology, for all the hard work you put into that to make it really impressive. And what I'll do is I'll just close this off. But I really, really thank you, Shrey, for everything and showing us Userology. So everyone, that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and keeping up with the latest AI for UX research. And of course, subscribe if you enjoyed this and tell us what other features you're interested in next. And just wishing you brilliant insights with AI.